So I want to welcome everyone to our 9th Oakbrook Business Network meeting of 2021. I'm very excited this morning to welcome all of you who are here on Zoom as well as on Facebook. And of course, our guest speaker this morning, Betty Lawrence-Water. Welcome. My name is Michelle Sherritt. I am one of the owners and board members of the Oakbrook Business Network. And before we begin this morning, I'd like to cover some brief housekeeping items and tell you a little bit more about our network of business groups. We are comprised of 5 powerful networking groups. We have the Oakbrook Business Network, Naperville, Northwest, Windy City, and the North Shore Business Networks. Just about 2 years ago, we decided to trademark the names, and we decided to take the groups live. We started these groups back in 2008 on LinkedIn, and they grew to be the largest networking groups within these different geographical areas on LinkedIn. And that's when we decided, hey, it's a good idea to take these groups live, have members, have monthly meetings like this, and some networking opportunities for everyone. To date, we have over 332 paid members, and we continue to grow even during COVID. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about our membership, but if you'd like to learn more, you can visit our website at oakbrookbiz.net. Our membership is $3.99 a year. That includes all of your monthly meetings and breakfasts at our monthly meeting events. This year, we have decided to keep our Oakbrook and our Northwest group online, but our Naperville group has been meeting in person. At the Oakbrook meetings, we meet at the fitness building located in the McDonald district, so it's centrally located. We are going to start back in-person events, hopefully in 2022. Included in our membership are many advertising options just because we're not able to meet in person as much as we would like. We also have a podcast interview opportunity for our business owners. We have monthly happy hour events that are also online this year. And we do 4 quarterly formal dinner events when we are meeting in person. All meetings, happy hours, and dinners are open to the public, as well for a fee, of course, just depending on the venue. And it allows our members to be able to network with new people. During COVID, we offered more advertising opportunities to members and non-members. So we're going to continue to do that just to help out our local business owners. So if you're interested in learning what those advertising opportunities are, learn more about our group, membership, new events coming up next month, just visit our website at oakbrookbiz.net. Today's talk, we ask that you keep yourself muted unless you have a question, and it's Q&A time, which will be at the very end. Then you may unmute and ask your question, or you can simply type your question in the chat box provided. If you are Facebook Live, please simply comment below, and we will review those comments and questions at the end. Today's talk is being recorded, so the recording will be made available to you on our website later on tomorrow at oakbrookbiz.net. Today's speaker is Betty Lawrence-Water. Betty is known internationally as a public health advocate, leadership expert, mentor, and career development advisor who provides high-energy presentations. Betty has over 25 years of experience in private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Today, Betty will be talking to us about the power of networking outside and within an organization. Welcome, Betty. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and I'm really delighted to be with you today. Yes, I wear many different hats. I am president of the Ames Center for Independent Living in Downers Grove. I'm a professor of public health at Benedictine University in Lisle, and I am the co-founder of a project in Ghana, West Africa, where we're building a health education center that has been completed. So now once COVID is away, we can go there and dedicate it. But this talk today is designed to help unravel some of the amazing and powerful aspects of professional networking. I feel uniquely qualified to discuss this with you because I've had numerous opportunities to network and I've taken advantage of them, and they have helped me in my career and I have helped others along the way. I do want to say, though, that this 30 or 40 minutes that we have is not meant to be an exhaustive discussion about the power of networking. I just want to touch upon those key things that I think will help you. And there are a lot of books and resources out there that can help as well, and I will provide those at the end of our discussion today. So again, thank you so much, and I hope that you sit back and buckle your seat belts as we begin this journey together. But before we do, I want to ask you a question. Let's see. Oops. Okay. Before we do, I want to go over the objectives. Then I'll ask you the question. What we want to do is to define networking, an understanding of the basic principles of networking, and then even if you're an experienced networker, there's always room for improvement. So there may be some tips or suggestions that I offer that can enhance your approach to networking within and outside the organization. Okay, now here's the question. The question is, how many boxes? And I'd like for you to enter your responses in the chat box. This is just a little game, and it'll take about a minute and a half. So how many boxes do you see? Enter it in the chat box. Okay, 18, 3, very good, thank you, Jamie. All right, 21, all right, What else? Anybody else? Any more? How many boxes do you see? There's a lot. Okay. All right. Okay. So, actually, there is no right answer to this question. You know, I've conducted workshops where people have said there's 63, there's 18, there's 27. I've seen people, the right brain thinkers, take out the calculator and they start making calculations on the calculator. I've seen people make symbols and really look dumbfounded about it. But actually, the point is that something is missing. Something is missing. What do you think it is? Any ideas on what might be missing from this question? Okay, I'm going to give you a hint then. Actually, I gave you no context. I didn't say the black boxes, the red boxes, the rectangular boxes. I didn't say anything about that. I didn't give you any parameters. I didn't say how much time you'd have. Context is important. So remember that. As you approach anything, you need to have an understanding of the context. You need a definition because everybody approaches things differently. Some of you may have counted the individual boxes. Some of you may have tried to determine, well, whether those L-shaped boxes, would they count as 2 or 3? Or do I eliminate those with the right angles or the left angles? So everyone is different and everyone thinks differently. So that's why it's important to have a definition. So here we go. Let's see. Okay. So we need a definition for networking because there's a lot of confusion associated with it. Some people assume networking is simply meeting new people. Other people think networking is all about passing out business cards or just all about making connections on social media. Actually, networking is all of the above, and it all differs depending upon the context, just like with counting those boxes. So, in true networking, embracing all of the opportunities and avenues that are available to us, we actually can begin to develop contacts, but also relationships. And that's the part that's so important. Not to be so transactional, but be more relational, relate to each person on a human level. So now that we kind of understand the definition and that there's a lot of them out there and that it depends on who you are and what context you're working from or they're working from, I want to share with you just for a moment a personal experience where I first became aware of how important and how powerful networking can be. Some years ago, I was asked to chair and organize a national convention, a national convention that would have 11,000 delegates from all 50 states, including Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. The President of the United States would be the guest speaker, and I had to recruit over 500 volunteers to help me. Now, what do I know? I'd never organized a national convention before. I'd never organized a meeting any larger than maybe 25 or 50 people at best. And I thought I was doing really good when I did that. So I'm like, how in the world can I do this? And it just came to me. And this was before the internet was so popular, before we had the applications we do now to help broaden our network. So I had to recruit over 500 volunteers, set up 26 standing committees, and appoint chairs and co-chairs for each one of them. Wow, what a task for a girl from Detroit who never organized a national convention before. But you know what? I was able to do it. And I didn't do it alone. I did it by reaching out to my network. As small as it was then, there were people who were willing to help me, to share their expertise, their knowledge, their contacts. And so we did it, and based on the surveys that we received afterwards, we were one of the best that this organization, almost 100 years old, had ever had. So why network? Let's see, I didn't cover this. Okay, some people fail to network effectively. Some people equate networking with just socializing. And then when you have this approach, it doesn't result in true business connections. People that you can count on even years after you've met them, who remember you and who are willing to help. Okay, so there are various reasons to network, and absolutely it can help generate business and sales leads, job opportunities. It can help you create partnerships and garner support in the things that you do. So the more visible you are, the better and stronger your network, the more the trust is increased as well as your visibility. And we'll get into that a little bit more in just a moment. But also networking can provide an inside advantage when it comes to your, not only your professional life, but your personal life as well. From the base of my network, I have just established so many wonderful friendships through the years that didn't start out that way, but we got to know each other, people that I never would have imagined years before, and even having a close relationship with. So there are a lot of benefits for business and your personal life in networking. So in today's world, networking is truly unavoidable. There are so many directions that you can take your networking efforts, and there's so many different types and creative projects that you can work on. Many people think that networking is just externally and overlook the value of networking within the organization as well. If you're a larger organization, if you work for a larger organization, there are so many opportunities to network and do additional efforts that can be so rewarding and beneficial to demonstrate your leadership skills and to show your ability to work in teams. So keep that in mind, that the networking is unavoidable. Don't think of it as drudgery. Think of it as a way to meet people within the organization and outside the organization that you never would have connected with before. And it can improve every aspect of your lives. Now, let's face it, not all networks are created equal. Some people have a lot of contacts and a lot of connections, but they're not using them. Other people have a smaller network, but they're getting bigger and broader results because they're being more creative and outgoing and thinking of the possibilities of why and how they can connect with people. So networking within the organization and networking outside the organization are great, and you need to become skillful at doing both. Okay, so you can gain connections, you can grow your network, and you can increase your chances of being referred not only for a job, but business opportunities when you network effectively. But remember this, networking is a two-way street, and that it isn't just all about getting things for yourself, but it's about giving. And there are some fumbles that you may make along the way, but don't let that stop you. Think of those mistakes as learning opportunities on what you can do better in the future. Networking can also help you inspire new ideas, new creativity that you never thought you had. I was successful in doing this in DuPage County some years ago when actually I started out as a volunteer with a nonprofit organization called Healthy DuPage. And I don't know if any of you are out there who remember that organization, but our mission was to make DuPage County the healthiest place to live in America. And I'm happy to say that the seeds we planted, building the collaborations and the partnerships we did back then, has actually done that. DuPage County is one of the healthiest places to live in America. And I read an article recently that DuPage County is the healthiest place to live in Illinois. So we accomplished that mission. But the opportunities were increased because the reputation that I was able to build within that organization, directing the initiatives, gathering volunteers, recruiting people to head special initiatives on transportation, on reducing obesity, on family health, mental health, and so on. It helped me to build a reputation as a minority in DuPage County 20 years ago, where I was viewed for my entire skill set, by my leadership capabilities and how I was able to craft these opportunities for others within our organization. So there are many opportunities out there, and you want to take advantage of them. Networking helps to improve your image, but you must always be professional, be helpful, don't be needy, be helpful, and share your knowledge with others. So networks can help energize your career, your business, and your personal life. So always keep that in mind. Now, there's some obstacles that you may run into as a networker or as a power networker. There's like everything else, you can make mistakes, you will run into obstacles. And a major obstacle that we've all faced in the last almost 2 years has been COVID-19. Fortunately, we have technology and other ways of navigating through this maze now that we don't know which way to turn, which way to go, what to do. But now we can navigate and avoid a lot of the obstacles by keeping in mind the context and the correct definitions of networking, and maybe even swallowing our pride sometimes, particularly if we're in a leadership position. Just knowing we got to stick our necks out there sometimes to generate those new opportunities. Now, there are 14 tips that were suggested by members of the Forbes Business Council that I want to share with you today. And feel free to take notes, and I'll include the link in the resource list that I provide. Is you want to be authentic. You want to be your true self and not phony. People will pick up on phoniness or your haughtiness like a drop of a dime. Reach out in new ways. If you can't get together with people physically, reach out to them virtually if you can, or consider activities where you are practicing social distancing, because not everyone feels comfortable. Even though you're vaccinated, you don't feel quite ready yet. So, and that's understandable. Build up your digital presence. If you're not on social media, you should be, especially LinkedIn or some of the professional networks. And be very clear with people about what you're offering. Not always what you can get from them, but what you can do for other people. Bring value to the networking. Make people realize that there is value in connecting with you and why. Don't be afraid to look to industry experts. If you're not an expert yourself, through social media, through making that an initial email contact, you can reach out to industry experts who may be able to give you invaluable tips. Just a quick note on who you are, what you're doing, why you're contacting them, and if they can share any information that would be helpful to you. Now, if you send out 10 emails, you might only get 2 responses, but that's okay. That means you're 2 steps ahead of where you would have been if you had sent out nothing. Be creative with the experience that you have. Also, build relationships based on empathy. It isn't always about the business. Sometimes it's connecting from the heart. Discovering in the conversation that there are things that you have in common, interests you have in common. It may be golf. It may be I've established a contact with someone on Scrabble. I didn't realize that through that connection that I would be able to a wonderful professional partnership that has benefited me over the years. Also, you want to speak with your peers and reach out to old contacts. You can get their connection information, and usually online you can do that. Reach out to them and reconnect, even if it's been 5 years since you've seen them or talked to them. Be open to making coffee meetings, just meeting up for coffee, socially distanced, having a conversation. You can even do a coffee online at home, 15 minutes to talk about it. Okay, send out handwritten letters and notes. That's the old school method, but sometimes when you're inundated so much with electronic communication, getting a short little note in the mail can just be so heartwarming and unforgettable. And I do it. I usually include a little, hey, I saw this quote today and it reminded me of you. And I just stick that in the envelope along with the note. Always put your best foot forward. Be positive. Try to see the positive areas. Even when there's a conflict, there is something to be learned or gained from that. Rather than burning bridges, try to think about ways things can be improved and expand your borders. Think about connecting with people from different backgrounds, different nationalities, ethnicities, abilities that maybe you wouldn't have contacted before. Understand, though, that different personality traits can cause different reactions, so you want to be mindful of that. So people are extroverted and playful, some are meticulous planners, and they need to have everything in place before they can connect with you. And you may, as a connector, you may be that type of person where you need to take notes and arrange everything ahead of time. Some people are more assertive leaders. I spent about 25 years in corporate America in sales, and it taught me to be more confident and assertive, but I had to temper that once I left that industry so that I didn't come off as being pushy or aggressive in my networking. And then some people are peacemakers. They're kind of laid back and kind of quiet, and they don't really put their foot out there. And if you are in that category, you have to take a deep breath and change your posture and come across as someone who is confident, who has value, and who wants to connect. The cultural barriers might include language differences. As a faculty member at Benedictine, I also work in China. 3 months out of the year, I'm in China. I'm teaching public health courses in a society that I at first didn't understand and a culture I didn't understand. But now, 8 years later, I do understand. I embrace that there are language barriers, even with using a translator, that there are some concepts and words that people from other backgrounds may not understand. So be mindful of what the cultural norms are, not only if you're in a different culture, but if you're with a different ethnic group as well. And then the stereotypes, there's so many stereotypes about all of us in some way, form or fashion. So be aware of those and get beyond that in your networking. Approach people that you might not have approached before. And personal pride is a benefit. Being a person who takes pride in what you do and who always presents themselves in a professional light, be proud of that. Be polished, be organized. But remember, too much of it, you have to temper it a bit. If you lean too much towards that side in your networking, it can come across that you feel you're a little bit better than the person, condescending. So that could pose a barrier in your communication and in your networking and the way that you are being perceived. So be mindful of that and ask for feedback from others. So there are various ways, once you make all of these contacts, that you need to fortify your relationships. It isn't enough to collect those business cards and connections online. You need to communicate with people. And that can take many different forms. Like I said before, once in a while I'll send a handwritten note, but also once in a while I'll post something that I feel will be helpful or informative with a comment from all of my network. Or I'll direct it to specifically those within my network that I think can benefit from the information. The other thing is to avoid being needy, as I said before, and constantly asking others for help. Always think first of how you can bring value, how you can help. And then personalize the conversation. Every now and then you may want to post something a little personal, but not too much, not too much. Enough to give people an idea of who you are and the kind of person you are and your interests. Any awards or accolades you receive, that's fine, but not too much, or it comes across as boasting. And keep it brief as well. And be sure when you meet people in connecting with them, listen. Remember that the good Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen twice as much as we speak. So when you do speak, ask pertinent questions, but don't interrupt that contact as they're speaking to you. Don't interrupt the conversation. Also, pay attention as you're listening. Be an active listener. So as you're listening to that person speak, you may interject some comments here and there to demonstrate that you are listening to them. And maintain good eye contact, even on Zoom. If you're on Zoom and you're on display, virtual media, people know when you're texting other people on your phone, or your posture demonstrates that you're not really interested, or you're looking other ways. They know that, whether you know it or not. So be mindful that keeping good eye contact and keeping a good presence is tantamount. So you offer value, you identify the needs of others, you determine how your expertise or your knowledge can meet those needs, and you offer to help if you can. You want to build trust, because without a trusting relationship, there can be no true relationship. So work to be honest always, and to build trust among the people that you are connected with. Act with consistency. Follow up. If you say you're going to follow up, do that. People come to know that they can depend on you to get things done or to help them. And be helpful always. Now here we go. Now that you understand those basic principles about networking, let's take a look at building your network. This is to help you build networks. Actually, it's basic common sense. So, meeting new people, yeah. So you want to introduce yourself, invite the person to lunch with you online over coffee, and attend groups. That's why this Oakbrook Business Network is so important. How wonderful. Through your membership, you are able to connect with so many different people who may share common interests or share leads or opportunities right within your area that you may not have known before. Be polite always. Make a good impression. Pay attention to people. Be considerate and think before acting. Once you are able, everyone is able to get back in touch again, and you're at a group meeting and everybody's having their little conversations, and a new member walks in or someone you haven't seen before, be that person who can walk over to them and say, hello, welcome, I haven't seen you at our meetings. Is this your first time? Make the opportunity to make a good connection with that person. Tell them who you are. Make the initiative to introduce them to others. Find out what their needs are. Okay? All right. Different ways you can follow up. Recommending an article or a book based on knowledge that you gained maybe from a previous meeting. Continue your conversation and extend an invitation to the person to connect, to meet up, or to engage later. Allow the relationship to develop naturally, though. It should be a natural course of things. And you usually can tell when you meet someone that whether there is a love connection there. And you want to follow up on that. But you don't want to appear desperate, and you want to reach out to that person 3 times. And once you do that, be sure that you don't, and you haven't had a response, make sure that you don't overdo it. That borders on harassment, or they may just delete you altogether. So always recognize the networking opportunities. They may be in places that you may not have even thought of. Maybe at your local church, there may be someone in the congregation who is a business person who can connect you, whom you can suggest that they join the Oakbrook Business Network or another networking group. So just take advantage of formal networking opportunities inside and outside the organization, but also those informal opportunities as well. So the formal networking is going to vary with each organization. It's usually at social events that are very organized, like a convention, an annual meeting. And it ranges from professional and social groups. So if you can get involved with groups, that's a wonderful way to build your network and meet people. Informal network happens more than formal networking. So those opportunities, types of opportunities occur every day. It may be someone you meet on the train. It may be someone you meet just in passing. Maybe you see each other, keep running into each other, and you see them again, and you want to connect with them. And then develop those email interactions and coffee breaks and meetups and lunches and group discussions. Okay, so always be ready to network. That's the important part. Look the part at all times. Be someone who is approachable, someone that other people will naturally want to connect with or come up to. Be approachable. Make personal gestures. Hey, can I grab you a cup of coffee? Oh, listen, I read a book that I thought would be so helpful to you. And you can share the link with them or share the information. But make personal gestures, an article you've seen that may be helpful. Pay attention to changes within your industry or your organization. If you subscribe to a publication like Cranes or the business, what is it called? Business Ledger. There may be names of activities and people there and articles that you can exchange with others who may not be aware as a means of staying connected. Now, here are some mistakes. We're going to talk about those mistakes. They're inevitably going to happen. So hopefully you can avoid them, but even if you do, it's a chance to learn. One mistake is not meeting new people. And this is because of different reasons. Because some people they've got a network built and they only work within that network. They don't take the time to stretch themselves in comfort zones because of their personalities. Not everyone is outgoing. But in building a network, you have to change that approach. So you've got to be friendly, approachable, and likable. Some people make a list of excuses as to why they're not meeting new people. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time. Oh, this is too much effort. So it's up to you to prioritize what is important. And networking in today's age is important. The Harvard Business Review said that 85% of people who are successful in their jobs and in their professions are networking. They are networkers. So you have to be one, too, and it is imperative that you work it. It works if you work it. People don't follow through, They say they're going to reach out to the person later, they have a close encounter, and then they never do. So follow up with that person. Make a note to do it. Maybe you've forgotten the name. Maybe you did. Maybe the transfer of information didn't come through on your cell phone, your smartphone, or you didn't exchange that business card. Then you can reach out to the organization where you met them and see if you can get the information. And then it's important to do this because if you don't, the contact may forget about you. So make that effort to stay in touch. Sometimes we have unrealistic expectations. Our aim is too high, and that's a common mistake. We all make it. So we want to think through, be mindful of how this contact will react if I reach out to them, what they may say, what I might do, and what's going to happen if I don't hear from them. You know, is my ego going to be so deflated that I just shrivel up and never contact them again? So remember that networking takes a great deal of time. And remember this too. If you're a professional, you can be too professional when you are trying to network. So it needs to be balanced. You can come across as being too, not condescending, there's a word for it. It'll come to me in a minute, but being distant, haughty and distant, or above everyone else. And none of us are that way. You may feel that way. Even if you are the head of an organization, there's always room to express an interest in other human beings that you can help and who can help you. And then that type of behavior will not encourage others to even want to connect with you, to be involved in your social network. All of one thing is not good. Having all upper management connections gives you an upper management concept or context. So you need to broaden that. Have people at various levels who can help you and that you can exchange information with. Now here's some, I call these enhancers. Remember that networking is relationship building. And it's going to take time and effort, but it is well worth the payoff. Like the payoff I got in being able to organize an 11,000 delegate national convention. Like the payoff I got in building a network in DuPage County that was able to create so many of the benefits that we see today. Being genuine is important. Be yourself. Also, I wanted to share with you a personal thing that happened to me about, 2007. I was in Ghana, West Africa, and I was injured. I was in a small village, maybe 900 people. I was doing HIV/AIDS awareness training. I was living in a hut, basically sleeping on the floor. There was no running water. There were no toilets. One day I found myself, I'm walking along, I step into a hole in the ground. It was a latrine. Does everybody know what a latrine is? I stepped into it. My foot was lodged. I lost my balance. I twisted my leg. I had a triple fracture of my right leg. My foot was turned backwards. I'm in the jungle. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anyone with me to call on for help. So I crawled back. I forgot all of the language I'd learned in my prior training of Twi, and I could barely even express what was wrong with me. But through that tragedy, it took me 8 hours to get to any medical attention. That was the nearest hospital, was 8 hours away. But through that connection, don't you know, I had a student back in Illinois, a former public health student from Ghana. We stayed in touch over the years. I contacted her, told her what happened to me, and wouldn't you know, her uncle was the Minister of Health for the country. He was able to help me get the best of medical care there in the, even though I had been in the jungle he was able to arrange for me some great medical care, so much so that when I got back to Chicago, the surgeon said, we're going to have to re-break your leg, reset those bones. And then once they saw the work that was done and the quality of it, they said, you know, those African doctors did a wonderful job. We don't have to do the surgery after all. But to this day, I am still connected to that Minister of Health in Ghana, West Africa, who was appointed by the president. And through him, I was enabled to help build this health education center in that country to help women, pregnant women and mothers, reduce their rates of mortality, dying in childbirth, and improve the rates of infant health. And that's remarkable because otherwise I would not have had the resources, the connections, the political knowledge to get this done. So hopefully in December, I'll be going there to dedicate the center. So we talked about this. Listen without interrupting. Be respectful even when you disagree. Keep things positive and resist the urge to argue when you respond, whether that's in person or whether that's online, in a stream online. Sometimes people get into these bitter, nasty dialogues that are disruptive and are not contributing to the discussion. So be mindful of that as well. But maintain your boundaries and communicate them. One of my boundaries is that I don't do any business work on Fridays. Friday is date night for my husband and I. He owns a business and I'm involved in so many different things. Our schedules had reached the point that we were doing a lot of things and making a lot of accomplishments, but it was interfering with our personal time. So Fridays, don't call me, okay? Don't expect to get a response from me on a Friday until Monday, okay? Good. Learn to say no and explain why. If there's some things that you cannot help the person with, or some things that you simply do, there are ways to communicate that tactfully, professionally, and in a humanistic way. So, and make sure sometimes it's good to keep a little that are worded ahead of time that you can refer back to. But always be willing to invest the time that it takes in the networking and not to forget your contacts. Even if you have to set up messages in your Outlook, to time it, program it, to send a message every now and then. You can do this through various applications. Just a reminder to keep your face and your name out there and to let the person know that they're interested. Like today, I got a little note about a little bit of information on Michelle, that today is her birthday. Don't you know that that's going to be noted in my contact list so that next year or a little bit ahead of her birthday, she's going to get a greeting from me online. So those little things like that are really helpful. You know about Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. The important thing is that you want to keep your personal life separate. And be careful about what you share on those networks. The other thing is that what some people do, if they have a post, sometimes they only want to share it with their professional contacts. Or some people create an alias or another name or a different name that they can use with their family and their close friends if they want to send a joke or whatever. So, but you want to keep your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn clean, those social networks, because it doesn't go away and you always want to put out the best image that you can. Consider writing a blog if you have time. And there's lots of posts and information. I'm going to include that in our resource list. Okay? Chat rooms are still around if you're able to join one and you want to, fine. Don't rule out the power of email. It hasn't gone away. Some people still read it and refer to it, but always keep it brief and make sure that you make offers for the other person that they can benefit from. Not always a sales offer, but some other energy that you can send to them in an email message. Prioritize your contacts. Remember, not all contacts are created equal. You have connections. You have people with a lot of knowledge. You have people who are just interested in making contacts. So begin by prioritizing the high level contacts and then work your way down the list. Some people you may not see again for a year or two, and you need to keep your name out there. I have about 5,000 contacts now, I think, on LinkedIn, but every now and then I do prioritize the ones that I reach out to, especially those that are in my field. If you can create a group activity, that's great. If there are different ways now that you can do this. You might also want to really take advantage and promote those Oakbrook Business Network opportunities that they have and see the positivity in that. And that's a wonderful gift to have. Also, the group activities that you plan don't have to be grand affairs. They can be little small things. Like I said, a coffee, a tea. I had a meetup recently at the Morton Arboretum. It was a walking date for some contacts that are so busy all the time, but they do walk. And I noted that. And I told them what I was doing. And I said, hey, can you join me at 7:30 for a walk at the Morton Arboretum? They have a wonderful Human plus Faces exhibit, or Faces plus Human. I always get it backwards. Don't you know, I had 6 of them show up, and it was great. It was wonderful. So it was out of the ordinary, but it was an opportunity for me to strengthen the connection with those people. Other ways you can do it, the different concerts, the free concerts that come up that you're aware of, things like that. Interesting, kind of out of the ordinary things that your connections might be interested in. Okay, we talked about the connecting online. If you're not doing it, you need to be, and do it regularly every day. I always set a goal to connect with at least 10 people every day, and it may be just a personal note in some way, and you can arrange. You'd be surprised how quickly you can do this through the technology these days. And schedule your networking activities. Maintain those relationships as much as you can, and you can do this in different ways. You can post a special event that you're having or that you know of online that you're attending and you want to recommend it to someone else. And if there's someone who didn't show up to an event that you planned, send them a quick note to let them know that you're thinking about them. Hey, we missed you, and learned so much. And offer them either a link to the recording or notes that you took. There's so many different ways. Okay? Position yourself as a go-to person. I'm positioned as a connector and a collaborator. People know that they can come to me if they want me to put them in the right direction in the area of my expertise, which is public health and community health. They know that. So often I get referrals or requests, and I'm always happy to follow up, always happy to mentor others, always happy to serve as a preceptor for a student who is willing to learn under my guidance. Sometimes it's an article that you found interesting and helpful and you want to share. And then eventually your reputation gets stronger. You plant these seeds, your reputation gets stronger, and it will grow. Other obstacles, fear of rejection. Hey, you got to buck up. You approach someone. Sometimes they will just are not interested, and that's okay. It's all right. Um, Time constraints, you figure out a way to get it done. Maybe you're networking in the wrong places. You're planting seeds and they're not coming to fruition because you're not networking in the right places. Or maybe you're saying the wrong thing and you're unaware of it and it's turning people off. Okay. Oh, the importance of gaining trust. That's really honest. So be really important. So always be honest, act with consistency, and remember, as I said before, be helpful, be visible, volunteer if you can, whether it's within your organization or outside the organization. Share your expertise, share news and knowledge that you know. Become what is known as an insider. The insider is the person who finds out about stuff before it's even made public. So with the right connections, you can become an insider. You may be offered an opportunity before it's ever posted. And then you should reciprocate for others who are doing the same thing if you know of opportunities. You can gain advantage by dressing appropriately, watching your tone and body language. Yes, even on virtual media, online, be engaged and at work. Be engaged at work and in the community. Now, there are certain assumptions. Sometimes we think people are automatically going to connect with us, and that's not necessarily true. Sometimes they don't. You may ask someone for help, and they may or they may not choose to help you. So you don't place the expectation on people that this is what you are looking for. This is what you expect. Hey, if it comes through, it's a benefit. It's a wonderful gift that you should work on and you can cherish. So, as I mentioned before, creating different opportunities to network on your own are important. Maybe going to a group movie, maybe a chance to dine together, a picnic, a walk at Morgan Arboretum. It may be a sports game. It could be many different things. One other thing I've done is during COVID, I organized a group of crocheters. I love to crochet. We were like-minded women. We get together, socially distanced, of course, and we crochet Afghans for the homeless. And we give them to the local shelters. Connecting online, we know about that. To schedule your networking activities and build it. I have a reminder in my smartphone to let me know, hey, it's time, take 10 minutes out today to do your social networking online, and I do that. Okay. Manage your personal and professional networks. You want to make sure that you continue to feed the energy, that you give back, and you separate your personal activities from your business activities. Be responsive. Don't ignore requests that people send to you, even if it's just someone whose name you don't remember. Just if you're interested, fine. Send a quick note and let them know. And if you're not, hey, I'm sorry, I can't assist you at this time. I don't think there's a fit here, and move on. Okay, always respond in a timely manner. Back. Okay, so as we wrap up, we always say practice makes perfect, and it really does. But also the missing word is commitment. You can practice all you want, but unless you get out there, you do it, and that you are firmly committed to becoming a powerful networker, it ain't going to happen. So be sure that you use these tips and others that you pick up along the way to build your network and to strengthen your network to build your reputation within the community or the industry that you work. So if you are interested in the additional references, you can connect with me online. I will always respond. Also, I believe that Michelle is going to make the resource list available after this session. But I hope what you found has been helpful, and I really hope that I see you again. And thank you so much for your time. And I think we have 2 minutes left. If there are any comments or any questions that you have, I can take them, or you can send them to me directly, and I'll get back to you.
So Betty, thank you so much. We have a lot of comments just saying thank you. It was a great presentation. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to unmute and ask a question? No takers? Online, just a lot of comments about our own business network, the Oakbrook Business Network, just saying natural networking and connections, as you said, are so important. And they said that's why they love our group, because we've helped them to facilitate this and we don't force leads or connections. So it's natural networking. Somebody else said that they've been a member for 2 years now and we've helped them to grow their business. They did have a question though. They wanted to know, during COVID, they're not attending as many in-person events. So how do you suggest they effectively network online besides LinkedIn?
Besides what?
Besides LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can do this through your Facebook pages and direct them only to connections that you have. If you want to create a special professional Facebook page or Instagram where you can send a quick, just a verbal recording announcement or news that you have, that's something really fast you can do on your cell phone. You can post it almost immediately. I'm sorry that COVID has made such a dip and a dent into our ability to connect. Humans need that personal touch, that handshake, that hug, just seeing each other face to face. But thanks to technology, there are other ways to approach it.
Some people said networking is like dating.
Yes, it is. If you come on too strong, you got to turn the person off. You got to tread lightly at first and cultivate the relationship. Who knows? Eventually it turns into marriage. You never know. It's like dating.
Jamie on Zoom has a question. When it comes to networking online and setting times to network, what has helped you on doing so?
You taking advantage of using the timers. There's some applications that will allow you to construct your message first, and then you can set a timer as to when you want it to be sent out. So it appears as though it's coming out that day at that time, but maybe you wrote it a week ago. Okay. And there, you have to dig deep though. Some of the, like on Zing is one of them, XING, that has a timer that way. I believe LinkedIn does. Certainly Instagram, you can just time when the posts go out. Or if you're on TikTok, now TikTok, I kind of am very selective about what I post there, also where it goes. So you don't want things to get too common. Remember, you want to be professional. You don't want to be too stiff, but you still want to maintain a positive image. Someone who can be trusted, someone with good taste, someone who is mindful.
Okay. And then someone else said, Betty, you are so right. Always sharing things to help people with their businesses and to help them grow is always beneficial. It's always served me well. They don't want to hear my sales pitch, but when I help them to grow their business, I do get a return from that. So
Yes, yes. It's like once you put it out there that you're available, there are all kinds of opportunities to help. But then when it's your turn, because you've established good relationships, sometimes you can just, I find through my network, I can just pick up the telephone and call somebody, make a quick phone call to someone that in the past I may never, at a level that I may never have been able to reach before. And that's the power that comes in building a strong and fruitful network. And it can save you time.
mhm. Well, I want to thank you all again, everyone who attended on Zoom and as well as Facebook Live today. And of course, a big thank you to our guest speaker, Betty. Thank you so much, Betty. This was very informative, as always, a lot of great tips. And Betty will be sharing some resources for us, and those will be available with the recording on our website at oakbrookbiz.net later on tomorrow. And of course, if you're interested in our group membership, any of the advertising opportunities that we're offering during COVID, or our future events, please just visit our website at oakbrookbiz.net. Thank you again, everyone who attended. Thank you again, Betty, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you.